Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on the 16th day of November. We're 1 week away, a little bit of an earlier Thanksgiving. 1 week away from Thanksgiving. A lot of good football games on Thanksgiving Day. Always Detroit, always Dallas. Going to talk about tonight's game. Huge game tonight. Huge game. Usually they're not. They're terrible. But this way, you got Cincinnati, Baltimore. That's going to be a good one there, folks. Cincinnati, Baltimore tonight. Going to give you my take on it. Going to give you my 5 games against the spread tonight. Do a little recap of last week. Plus, Draymond Green. Few more thoughts on that suspension. Gets another that came in the middle of the show last night. Got that 5-game suspension. I'll talk about that. They got a game tonight against Oklahoma City, who's playing great, by the way, without Green or Steph Curry. I think Oklahoma will probably clean their clock, to say the least, as good as they're playing right now. Also, the Braves get the All-Star game back, huh? Braves get the All-Star game back. Jim Harbaugh decided to go ahead and take the suspension there with Michigan. All that and more. Let's go ahead and take our first and only break, and I'll be back here in 49 seconds here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. So tonight, okay, you've got 5 and 4, Cincinnati versus 7 and what are they? 6 and 3 now. Baltimore, now Ravens are still leading the division. They're still leading the division. Now the Ravens, they won't have Ronnie Stanley tonight at left tackle, and they won't have their lead corner Marlon Humphrey. Sam Hubbard's out, but Trey Henderson is back. Or Trey Henderson will play for Cincinnati. That's a bigger one. And of course, T. Higgins, he won't play again tonight here. So. The Jackson's average, I was reading, a Baltimore reporter said 79.5 yards rushing a game against Cincinnati. He plays well against these guys, 7-1, 3-1 against Burrow. Now, that being said, last game, it was a very close game, 3-point game, I want to say. Burrow's still recovering from his calf injury here. And Baltimore got that win. I do think that Cincinnati needs this game more. I think there's a bigger sense of urgency from Cincinnati. This is played in Baltimore. But I do think there's a bigger sense of urgency with Jamar Chase versus a backup cornerback there. And that pass rush of Cincinnati, even though they're not as good as they have been in the past, I think that they pull off the win here. I did take Cincinnati plus 3.5. That little half point may very well pay off. Could go either way. I think I think Cincinnati kicks a late field goal. 2017. Bengals get this win here. Could go the other way. Even if they lose, I don't think they're out of it. But we'll see. At 4, losing that Houston game, seemed like they were looking ahead a little bit. I just got a feeling they're going to find a way to win this game here a fully healthy Joe Burrow and this offensive line. And losing a left tackle, well, that's huge there. Stanley, now he's played well without Stanley because Stanley's been out for a while for on and off for Lamar Jackson. It's going to be a good game. One, Al Michaels probably won't make any sarcastic comments for. I'm sure he would like to watch the Philadelphia Eagles against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday night. But hey, you took the money, you went to Amazon, and this is what you got to deal with, Al Michaels. So, but you got a good one tonight. They had who did they have last week? Chicago and Carolina. But him and Kirk Herbstreit, it's not too bad. It's gotten better than it was last year. The guys pulled it off. That Kirk Herbstreit, that's a hard-working dude, man. He does this, then he does game day on Saturday, and then he does Saturday night. He does the college football games on Saturday night. So, interesting stuff there. Okay. Where should I go now? Dun, dun, dun. Okay, yeah. Okay, Jim Harbaugh. Now, the Big Ten, Michigan, I guess Jim Harbaugh himself, they all agreed to they all agreed to go ahead and let Harbaugh serve out the. Now, this is just with the Big Ten now, but they went on to agree for him to go ahead and sit out this week's game against they're on the road at Maryland, and next week's game, big home game, biggest game of the year, home against probably going to be undefeated Ohio State, and likely they'll be undefeated there, Michigan home. So he'll be sitting out both of these games. I did read, though, that the NCAA still continues to investigate. That'll probably go into next year, okay? And I just get a sense that the way Harbaugh's playing this, that in the back of his mind, I don't know if you all heard that, and I should have got the soundbite, but I forgot to get it. The assistant coach there that took over the game for Michigan when they pulled off that win last Saturday against Penn State, no rushing attempts in the second half there. For Michigan, they win by 11 over Penn State. I talked about that last night. He's crying after the game. Man, this is a great opportunity. I really appreciate Jim Harbaugh. You've got guys like even former Michigan players saying the word bet, like this is on like Donkey Kong. Remember, Michigan, very weak schedule, first 5 games of the season. Harbaugh was suspended for some kind of recruiting crap going back to 2020 by the NCAA, missed the first, 3-4 games this year. So they're talking 7 out of 10 games. He's not been a part of this team. But my thing is, this team has had such an easy schedule. They've got every starter back on this team except their center. Remember, Al Borges talked about that here on this program. And, you got guys like Blake Corum, the running back, coming back. He could have went to the NFL last year, decided to come back. You got a sense that maybe could be some complacency that set in there for this team. And when they really get challenged against Penn State and Ohio State, they wouldn't be ready for the challenge. So, but now that you've got this over the head of the team, that feels like it's re-energized this team, playing hard on every single play here, keeping this team focused. This could be a huge blessing in disguise for Michigan. I think it will. Not sure they're going to win a national championship, but I do think it will propel them to beat Maryland this week, and obviously pending a bunch of injuries, Ohio State next week. Okay, so that I think that's the way. Harbaugh didn't make a big fuss about it because I think he's seeing that. I think he is seeing that this team, they're going to be sharp as attack, even though McCaffrey's not getting that many pass attempts. He's still regarded as the quarterback there. He's still regarded as a top 10, top 15 quarterback prospect in the NFL draft. So we'll see how that thing plays out. Remember, Caleb Williams was saying something like, speaking of quarterbacks, I read this just before I got on the program, and I didn't put it in the title, but he said something in regards to or his dad, in air quotes, right? His dad said a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so back, that if certain teams are getting that first pick overall, that he will not sign with certain teams. They're depending on who's got the first overall pick, that he will come back and play at USC. Now, Caleb Williams has said he's not sure if his last game will be against UCLA. That's usually the last game of the season. So that's interesting, talking about McCarthy and this quarterback draft. Maybe because the team is just not that good defensively. He's still getting his NIL money. So he actually might come out. I thought he was heavily leaning towards not going towards the draft. Now I think maybe I might come back towards the draft, though. So same with him and J.J. McCartney and this Michigan team here. I do think that McCarthy will come out, and he'll probably be mid to late first-round pick. One mock draft I had read about a month ago had Minnesota taking him with about 17th or 18th pick, but you never know. Minnesota's got a big game this week. Maybe they do something with Josh Dobbs. I don't think they're going to bring back Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins walks, but we'll see. We shall see about that. But either way, I think it's going to work out for the better for Michigan. Okay, now it says the last two regular season games, right? They still have a Big Ten championship game. And, of course, you got the college football playoff, which is going to be more of a challenge. So I think they'll be okay there. But we'll see. We'll see there with Michigan there coming up. All right. Now, Draymond Green, before I left here, let me get a sip of water here real quick. Pickle says he's got a lot of noise in his ear, man. Caleb Williams, Pickle says he does. And you know, he's got parents here and potential agents and coaches, strength and conditioning people. Maybe he's got a girlfriend, all saying something to him from 10,000 different directions. But that's going to be an interesting situation there when they play UCLA at the last game of the season, where there is a rumor that Chip Kelly may get fired from UCLA, which is ridiculous. I mean, what do they expect? Okay, now, Draymond Green suspended. Now, I mentioned this in the middle of the show yesterday. Draymond Green was suspended. He suspended 5 games. Going back to that fight a few nights ago against Minnesota, it was between Jalen Daniels, like a shoving match between him and Klay Thompson. Rudy Gobert, the center there from Minnesota, tries to be peacemaker, kind of get between everybody. Draymond comes out of nowhere, gets Rudy Gobert, everybody's probably seen it by now, in a headlock, and he's just got him down like this. Now we know he's got the 5-game suspension, plus this is his second ejection. They've only played 12 games, Pickles. It's his second ejection this year. It's his 5th time in his career he's got suspended, and it's for 5 games. Go figure. Draymond Green. He laid a teammate out in practice last year. You remember that? Was it Jordan Poole? Totally knocked him out, man. Knocked him out last year. And I was looking at Green here. Green has signed a 5-year extension with the Golden State Warriors. I talked about it over the summertime. That is Green is he will be 34, folks, in March. He'll be 34 in March. 4-year, 4-year, excuse me. 4-year, $100 million extension for Draymond Green. And you got to wonder if that's why the general manager said, man, I got to do something else, man. I mean, you bring in Draymond Green, going to be 34 in March. You bring in 38-year-old, I thought he's 37, 38-year-old Chris Paul, and think that's going to hold off. And not to mention that Steph Curry, not to mention who's out tonight, by the way, Steph Curry, 30-plus-year-old, I think he's 34, 35, maybe mid-30s, right? Steph Curry in there, and thinking that, Kapinga or whoever, these young guys are going to carry you, Wiggins. And they're not, by the way. They started off, won their opening game. Now they're 6-6 here. They've lost 5 out of the last 6. And now you have they're playing a red-hot Oklahoma City Thunder team that blew out the Spurs the other night. And I want to say they played these guys about a week or two ago. And Steve Kerr himself says everybody can see Oklahoma City coming. With this Chet, he's a young guy, Chet Holmgren, big man they drafted a few years ago. I think it was either Kansas or the first round pick. Remember, he got hurt. Holmgren got hurt. And now he's back with the glorious Alexander there. And Sam Presti, man, they've got like 15 picks over the next 6 years or some ridiculous amount of first-round picks. But they're rolling. Very young team coming into their own. I expect them to get, even though it's in Golden State, railroaded tonight by this young, hungry, upstart Oklahoma City Thunder team. And my thing is, part of me thinks that Draymond Green did this on purpose. Part of me thinks he just does not want to play as little regular season games as that he possibly can. He says he said this last year, and I'm trying to paraphrase. When Golden State lost last year to Memphis, he said, I think he said this on his podcast. He said, "Man, I don't even get up till 11 o'clock, man. I'm still tired in February or March or whatever, early March, man. This game don't mean that much to me. We play this team in the regular season or in the playoffs, and we'll beat them." So he's already kind of doing his own type of low management, which means, by the way, since they're such a small team, Gobert, they don't really match up well against Minnesota. His whole thing was to muck up that game. But also, I think that he wanted to get suspended on purpose and not having to deal with the road trip and the wear and tear of the games. Even though I know when you get suspended, I think you lose game checks. He just don't want to fool the regular season. He wants to do his own kind of load management, come back and then play when Steph's back. He knows they're going to fall behind, like I said they would, contrary to what others may think here. So it was that was a good scope, right? I mean, I knew that was going to be a bad decision there. I would have took a chance on the 27-year-old Dylan Brooks. Same guy, about 7-8 years younger. I would have took a chance on him and let Green walk. But they didn't do that. And now they're stuck. I mean, Oklahoma City's coming. Denver, I know Jamal Murray's going to be out for a little while. He's got a hamstring injury. But they still won the other night, still beat the Clippers. Same thing with the Lakers. Now Phoenix, they finally got their guys back, Bradley Beal and whatnot with Booker and Durant. They can do a little something, but they've got some age and injuries concerns too. So you got to watch out for these young, hungry teams, your Kings of the world who beat the crap out of the Lakers last night, beat them by 15. And then you've got your, like I said, this Denver Nuggets team that's still in their prime here, up and coming. And Kings, I mean, those, and of course, Clippers, it still goes back to teams who build from within, develop chemistry as they go, add a piece here and there. Those are the ones who win. The ones that try to trade their way to success and throw in a bunch of former stars, yes, Harden, Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, has not worked out. Ty Lue is pulling off the little bit of hair he's got in his head out. I think they'll try to figure it out. They'll figure it out eventually with Ty Lue because he's made it work before with Westbrook. But that is not going to be an easy task, man. That is not going to be an easy task. And I'm sure there's some frustrations there. Looks like Philadelphia definitely got the best of that trade. Although, like I said, Denver and Boston really looking good right now. Boston got that win last night, by the way. So, okay. Interesting stuff. Draymond is who he thought he was, you know? Like another Mr. Green. Remember Dennis Green said that about the Bears, Pickles? They are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook. If you want to crown their rear end, crown their rear end. But the funny thing about it is that Bear team didn't make it to the Super Bowl. Now, Peyton Peyton got his first Super Bowl ring that year, but Dennis Green, a funny guy. It's a funny guy. All right, now, okay. So every week I like to talk about these points against the spread here. I even look and see what I had last week. Okay, so last week I was wrong about the Saints. We talked about that ad nauseum earlier. Josh Dobbs red hot with Minnesota, beat up on the Saints. They even knock out Derek Carr in that game. Wrong about that one. I was wrong about Baltimore. Well, Baltimore's right most of the game. 75% of that game, it was around 24-9. But the Ravens got a little complacent deep in that fourth quarter. And, Lamar, he had crucial turnover there towards the end. So I was wrong about that one. But Atlanta being a 1.5 point favorite last week against Arizona. Kyler Murray's first game back with James Conner. Arizona gets the win there. I was right about that one. I was wrong about Tennessee at Tampa. And I was right. Actually, it was a push there with the Lions. So really 1-3-1. Not a great week last week here, folks. That's why I was so disappointed in the way Tennessee played Tampa, because I know Tampa's not really that good a team. Okay, 1-3-1, rough week last week. I expect to bounce back big this week. I'm really leaning into the heavy favorites this week. After Thanksgiving, you start to get the haves and have-nots. We're starting to get firings here. Okay, we've got an offensive coordinator who's been fired. We've got a head coach who's been fired. Josh McDaniels been fired. Of course, Ken Dorsey has been fired here. So you're going to see more of that now that we're up on Thanksgiving. A lot of decisions are being made around Thanksgiving about quarterbacks, resting certain starters, trying to get other guys back to showcase them, like maybe perhaps in Arizona, or guys in a Justin Fields, or guys trying to play to save their career, like a Justin Fields or Kyler Murray, for that matter. Okay, so this week, of course, I was stuck on last week, but you guys know I've got a well over like 70% winning percentage so far against these points against the spread. Now, this week, there's some interesting games. There's a huge game here, Philadelphia and Kansas City. And I looked at this game all week, man. I'm thinking this is going to change. This Philly-Kansas City game, I know this game's going to change. I know it's not going to be Kansas City -2. I was looking at it on Monday, okay? I'm scanning through ESPN. I'm scanning through, what's the other one here? FanDuel. Of course, that's the one I use here. And it's 2.5, 2.5, 2.5 on Monday, 2.5 on Tuesday, 2.5 on Wednesday. Today's Thursday. You got injury reports. You got 2 days of full injury reports here, right? And it's still at 2.5. I'm thinking, okay, all right, now, both teams coming off a bye week. All right. Philadelphia, yeah, they got all the motivation on their side. They lost the game. They lost the game to the Super Bowl. Philly couldn't get a stop, man. They could not get a stop here. But if you look at this, Andy Reid is 27-4 off bye weeks. 27-4 off bye weeks. Philadelphia, you can make the argument on the back end, they're worse. Well, it ain't an argument, it's actual fact. They're worse on the back end. They've had problems at safety. I don't know if they're playing more zone now. I just do not know what the deal is. Uh, uh, yeah, 27-4 Pickles. That he is off of a. So I looked at that 27-4. CeeDee Lamb. I had to check this twice, Pickles. CeeDee Lamb had 191 yards against that Philly secondary. Now, was that all on Darius Slay? I think they're probably playing some sort of. You can play man coverage, but play off man, and I think that's what they're doing. And they're giving you passes underneath, which a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who beat this team with the ankle sprain last year in the Super Bowl, didn't have to punt the ball in the second half of this game. And you look at all this stuff and you think 191 yards given up to CeeDee Lamb, 27th in overall pass. It wasn't just a bad game. 27th in overall. Sam Howell had 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Had a really high. And here's what's the real kicker that's bad for Philly. Kansas City is 4th in total yards allowed. Not points, yards you have to earn. That's playing against the best offense in the league. This is scary, folks, that the Chiefs are 4th in the NFL in total yards, even after playing this juggernaut of a team, Miami Dolphins. So if you look at all this, it's going to be in Kansas City. There may be some light rain. That may play in the favor of the Eagles. There may be some light rain on Monday night. I don't think it's going to be a huge factor because it's supposed to blow out through there. Now, this is Thursday. This game's on Monday. So, but I cannot see the Chiefs, 2.5. I could see them winning by a field goal. I think they'll probably win this game 27-23. I didn't expect this to be one of my picks. I'll talk about this game again, obviously, tomorrow. It's the biggest game of the week with Carlos Mad New Yorker Chavez. But I just cannot believe that I just simply cannot believe with that spread here. So, yeah, 27-23. I think the Chiefs win and cover. That seems like a little bit off there, but I'll take it, man. I'll take it definitely. I think the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs win this game. 27-4, man. I mean, that's pretty good. And I do think, like I've been telling you, I think even though the Eagles really good, they have been playing some really close games. They give up big plays in the secondary. Okay. They must not have trust with this new group of safeties. That's the only thing I can think of. Plus Bradbury, he gets beat. He's starting to lose us. That's what they need. That's what, if they need anything in the offseason, they got to upgrade those corners. I like Slay, but he's a little long in the tooth. Bradbury, we saw a play where he got beat and got that pass interference last year in the Super Bowl. Bradbury's been getting beat a lot this year. And so you say, well, who they're going to beat? I don't know. It depends on what Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes can come up with. So, I do like them. I do think this is one of my better games against the spread. Okay. All right. Now, Tampa. Like I said earlier, I was really disappointed the way Tennessee played them. I think Tampa comes back to earth this week. They are 11.5-point underdogs against the 49ers. Now, you say, well, what if they just run the ball, man? What if they run the ball and keep that offense off the field and keep Chase Young, this world-class athlete, and Nick Bosa, this other defensive caliber player of the year type of player, world-class athlete, off Baker Mayfield? Yeah, that's fine. But the problem is Tampa is 31st in running the football this year. So you're going to have to ask with the team that when you see them healthy, and they're still healthy, there's no injuries. They went across the country and beat Jacksonville 34-3. What do you think they're going to do? That's Trevor Lawrence. That's a franchise quarterback they beat like that. What do you think they're going to do at home against Baker Mayfield and that team who's going to have to throw? Trevor Lawrence had a running back, folks, that had 7 touchdowns off of bye week leading into that game. And Javon Hargrave, Eric Armstead, Fred Warner, Bosa, I just mentioned, that defense kept that running game in check. What do you think they're going to do to Rashard White and Baker Mayfield? Okay, I'm being generous here. This is a 34-10 game, maybe 37-13 type of game. So they cover that 11.5. It's a big number. But San Francisco, when they get it going, this is the team that beat, when they're like they are now, they beat the Cowboys 42-10. All right? Cowboys still pretty good. Cowboys are pretty good. They beat them 42-10. All right? It was a little bit of history there. And Nick Bosa can't stand Baker Mayfield. Going back, Bosa, Ohio State guy. Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma guy. In my opinion, biggest win of Baker Mayfield's career in college was a road win at Ohio State. And he took that Oklahoma flag pickles, if you don't recall, and planted it right in the middle of Ohio State's football field. He planted it in their stadium. And a few years later, in 2019, this team had drafted, Nick Bosa. Fortnite and Baker was playing with the Browns in. And he's looking at Baker, and he is eating this tackle's lunch. He's in the backfield constantly. This is on like Monday Night Football or something. And he's saying, Baker. I'm coming for you, Baker. So the 49ers roll Sunday, folks. I mean, they rolled 20, like I said, 37. I mean, it's going to be something like that. That they're going to roll against these guys. It's going to be, and I think he'll be motivated. Baker. I love Nick Bosa. Now listen, it ain't bullying. We all saw what Baker Mayfield did. And now he's humble now that he's been moved to 4 or 5 times, and he's another guy fighting for his job. So I like Frisco big against Tampa. Okay, now this one's really thrown me off, folks. I spent about 25 minutes here looking at this next particular game. Hold on. I spent about 25 minutes reading over Pittsburgh Steelers injury report. Now, Michael Fitzpatrick may not play. Very good player in the secondary. He didn't play last week. They still beat Green Bay. Cameron Hayward, limited, but probably going to play. The main one was TJ Watt. Is TJ Watt going to play? Yeah, he's not even on the injury report. So I'm looking at this, and we all know the Cleveland Browns situation. I don't know what it is, if this is Stefanski, if this is from Mr. Haslam, who I just defended yesterday, but they are bound and determined to play this. Doran Thompson-Robertson, this rookie, over P.J. Walker, all right, with a backup left tackle, okay, with the backup left tackle against T.J. Watt. Now, this game is in Cleveland, but they are bound and determined to do that, all right? The last game that this guy played, Thompson Robertson, Dorian Thompson Robertson, guy had a great preseason. But the last game that he started and played, finished, was against Baltimore back in like week 3 or whatever. And the Ravens beat them 28. They beat them 28-3. Okay. This guy will probably get knocked out of the game Sunday. TJ Watt, Hayward, one of these Steelers will probably knock this guy out of the game Sunday, and PJ Walker may go in there and beat them. I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. They'll run the ball against Pittsburgh because their defense is a little shaky. They're running D. But do you really think – here's the crazy thing about this, folks. They're favored by 1 point. The Browns are favored by 1 point to over the Steelers with this guy in here. So, I like I said, man, I don't know what the bleep these people were thinking. Like I said, I was thinking, do they know something I don't know? Do they know something I don't know? So, I mean, yeah, Steelers win this thing, man, 20-9. You know, I like the improvement of Kenny Pickett. I know they've been outgained in just about every game this season. But they're also 6-3. I know the Cleveland defense is really good. That Steeler defense, they're not going to let this guy beat them. They're just not going to let them beat him. Now, maybe this is all a big front, and Stefanski puts in PJ Walker, may be a different story, maybe. But if this young guy with that Steeler defense, they're going to come in from different angles. Yeah, I know that Deshaun Watson got hot against the Ravens last week and hit 14 straight. But he also, the MRI confirmed he had a high ankle sprain, and the Ravens gave him another shoulder injury, folks. We know about what happened there. So you got these backup linemen. This guy's going to have to play in the shotgun. He's going to have to do shovel passes to Jerome Brown. Steelers going to be all over this guy. 20-9, Steelers win this game. That is a great point against. Like I said, they're underdogs. They're underdogs by a point here. So go figure. Okay, another big one here. Now, Miami's coming off a bye. Last game we talked about, Carlos, I see you out there. Man, you talked about Miami playing Kansas City. Now, Miami lost that game. They lost that game. A good chance. It's not exact, but there's a good chance that the Dolphins could get Devon Achane back with Raheem Mostert, which I think will play. And we talked about this. Jalen Ramsey's back. Second game back for Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. They're at home. Early start time. They're at home. Early start time to the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay. With that explosive running game, Miami's a lot like Dallas this year. They don't just beat the bad teams. They destroy average teams with average defenses. Okay. They beat Denver, put 70 on Denver. They covered them by a long shot. They beat Carolina and the Giants both by 15 points. Okay. They beat these guys both by 15 points. So they are let me make sure I got this right here. I want to say they're also, let me make sure I got this number right. I don't want to misquote here, folks. Dun 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 dun. What did I do with that? Miami, where you at, Miami? Let's see. Well, we got it here. Hold on. Pittsburgh. Either way, I think it's 11.5 as well. There it is, 12.5. Okay, so yeah, that's a pretty high number, though. That's a pretty high number. they will beat these guys 34-17, which if you add 13 to 17, that would be 30. They're going against Aiden O'Connell, right? They're going against Aiden O'Connell. You would have to get a monster game out of Josh Jacobs to beat this Miami. I like Crosby too. I like Crosby, but that's the problem though. That back end of my Tyreek Hill Pickles, he'll have 150 yards. I'll be conservative. I'll say Tyreek Hill will have 150. It's by the way 80 degrees, really nice and sunny, perfect for Miami just to have an absolute field day off. If Mostert, which I think he will play, one of those running backs are going to have about 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill will have 150 yards. Okay. Tua could potentially have 4 touchdowns, or he could just have 2. But, another week with that, with Ramsey and Howard together, this rookie quarterback, Vic Fangio is going to have a field day with these guys, So, yeah, it's 34-17 Dolphins, and they could really run it up on the Raiders. They could really run it up. There may be a fight in the stadium. Who knows? This reminds me of those old good days, Dan Marino versus Jay Shredder, whatever his name was. They used to play with the Raiders. Marino to Mark Duper or somebody, right? Or Chris Chambers. And Carlos is very conservative. 27-24, low-scoring defense played better. In Miami, early start time, Miami will have a field day with these guys. Off of bye week 2, with that speed, man, I just have these visions of Tyreek Hill, just one 40-yard play after another. That's if they catch him. So, yeah, 34-17. They definitely cover. I know that's a 12.5-point spread. That's pretty high, but if you see Miami against, these average to below average defenses, they feast off these guys. Okay, number 5 here. Now, Chicago, home against Detroit. A lot of people's going to play this card that, well, you probably don't want to pick Detroit. They've got Thanksgiving coming up next week, and Chicago's got Justin Fields coming back. He's going to be desperate. Last time Justin Fields played in Detroit last year, the Lions beat them 41-10. Lions, yeah, they come off their bye last week. Chicago has not had the bye. Had a mini bye, I guess you could say. They played on Thursday. I would have played the Badger guy. I'd be done with Fields. But Fields is going to play. He's going to play. And Detroit's 7.5-point favorites. It seems like a lot. It's a division game and all that. And, like I said, last time they played in Detroit, 41-10. I think Fields will look good early, like he always does. But this is in Detroit, and Detroit they play like gangbusters at home, man. They really do, And I think that the Chicago will revert back to the old Chicago. They actually play better with this Badgett guy in there, and I think the Lions have a field day here. I think the Lions play really well, 37-16. I really think that they're going to feast off this team here, and they're going to cover that. They will win by 8 or more. Yeah, 37-16. Lions roar here, folks. They're going to be at home next week. I think they're playing Green Bay. People say, "Oh, they're Colin Cowherd today. They're worried about Green Bay." They ain't worried about Green Bay. Green Bay's up and down. The Lions know that they're good. That was a road win at a red-hot LA Charger team. the Lions will win this game 37-16. Both running back. Oh, by the way, David Montgomery going against his former team. He's going to run the rock against that team there. David Montgomery gets a touchdown against his former team there, and the Lions roar 37-16. Carlos says it's going to go the other way around. Chicago 24-23. Trust me, Carlos, I got plenty of games for you. Denver will be one of them. Denver, Minnesota, we'll talk about that one tomorrow. Because I got to break that one down like a Buffalo coach on a cold winter's day. Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. All right, now. Okay, so, yeah, there was some baseball news today. So it looks like the Braves are going to get the All-Star game, folks. They're going to get the All-Star game. Now, we're coming into 24, by the way. It's supposed to be a lot of big-time free agency talk. Shohei Ohtani. We don't know where Ohtani is going to we don't know where Ohtani is going to go. Keith Engel thinks that the Giants are going to get him. I don't know who. I don't know. Maybe the Dodgers, maybe the Yankees. It's going to be interesting. I thought the Dodgers were the favorite to get Ohtani, but he doesn't. God knows his baseball too. But so the Braves, they get the 2025 All-Star game. The story behind this is in 2021, Rob, was it Megford or whatever? He takes the All-Star game away from Atlanta due to these opportunist politicians complaining and protesting voter laws, and saying that there was a new voter law that was discriminatory against minorities and all that. And of course, as usual, it was proven wrong. There was a record turnout in the midterm elections here after these new voter laws were put in place here, and without any apology or anything, Major League Baseball quietly makes an announcement today that in 2025, I don't know where it's going to be played next year. I haven't even looked, but the All-Star game will return back to Atlanta. Now, depending on what article you read, I looked up 3 or 4. I mean, when you look this stuff up, our media is so biased one way or the other. You had to look through NBC, and then I had to go over to Fox, and then I had to go to Athletic. Then I had to go look and see because our media is so biased, and divided like our country is. And it was anywhere from $70 to $100 million lost in revenue for this stunt. And the people, the politicians, this lady, I can't remember her name now. She ran for governor at one time. And she's saying that I didn't say take the baseball game out and hurt these local businesses. I didn't say that. And then the baseball's like, Major League was like, no, yes, you did. Yes, you did. So as I tell people, don't get upset when these certain things happen. Things have a way of correcting, and situations have a way of correcting themselves, okay? My main thing about this is if I owned a team, I would not ever take my team. It divided as this country is. Baseball, basketball, football, hockey, which nobody talks about hockey. Let's do with the 3, baseball, basketball, football. If I own one, I don't care what party, if it's my party or somebody else's party or independent party that was in the White House, I would never, ever take my team to the White House because I wouldn't want to divide my fan base like that. I'll say, listen, Mr. Miss President, if you want to call and congratulate, that's what they used to do in the 80s, right? Call and congratulate me, and you got me on camera. Thank you. We popped the champagne. Thank you, Miss President. I appreciate. Thank you, but can you come up here? No, we're not doing that. Nick Saban, when he left LSU and took the job at Miami. I think it was Bush or somebody. I asked him if he wanted to bring LSU up there to go. He's like, nah, man. He's like, I'm too focused on LSU. I got to get this Miami Dolphin team off the ground here. You know, I thought that was funny. But, you know, something, these people, and I think that Major League may figure this out. You know, Michael Jordan, you know, I've watched The Last Dance is great, by the way. If you got Netflix and you're bored and you've seen The Last Dance, it came out during the pandemic, April, really cool. I couldn't wait to see it. Recorded every one of them. You know, what they were trying to get, somebody was trying to get him to support this random politician in Carolina, where he's from, North Carolina. And, you know, he said something. He's like, listen, man, I don't even know this guy. I don't know him. He's black and I'm black. What? I don't even know him, you know? And he's like, that's not my energy right now. You know, and these athletes and agents and whatever, owners of teams, what they don't, and I think some of them are realizing, they'll never admit it publicly. Nobody ever likes to admit to make a mistake. But these people, I don't care which letter they are using you. They are using you for their ideology. You might agree with one or two things this person does. But when you put yourself out there, Brady found this out, you know, Jordan, he would say, look, hey, I don't know this guy, man. But no matter what it is, you know, I think that these leagues, I think they're fair. I like the way the NFL quietly got away from all that. The NBA, they put all these social justice, they quietly went away from all that. And, you know, do something outside of that arena. But these people, they, and I'm telling you, you found out the hard way, you know. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me once, shame on me, you know. But that Major League, they know they made a mistake there. They know they made a huge, and then they took it out and put it in Denver. You know, it was supposed to be some kind of racial equity thing, which got more white people. I mean, that was funny about that year. But don't be a coward. Manfield was a coward. Stand your ground and say, we just don't get involved in that stuff. We'll give the disorganization. Won't be approved, but we're not dividing our fan base here. We're not promoting your agenda. Okay. You know, you do that on your time. Okay. We've spent decades and decades building up our leagues for escapism. Okay. You're not going to come suck off this to build your career up, to build your ideology up. Okay. And make it look like we're doing the right thing. No, you want to help you, politician. You want to help your brand, your base. You don't care about our fan base. Sports are there to unite people, not to divide people. And these opportunistic politicians, these organizations, and I tell you what, just between me and you, Colin Kaepernick's finding that out the hard way. How many friends has he got now? He wants to play again. You know, Colin Kaepernick said he wanted to be on somebody's practice squad. I can't remember who it was now. It was one of these, I think he said the Jets or somebody. He wanted to be on the practice. He said this league was all this, races and all that. Then he realized he's being used, even though he might believe in some of these things. Then he realized how much he's been effed up. Now he wants to come back. But he'll never actually admit that. He might when he's 45 years old. But be careful of the person who, my dad used to tell me, willing to give you the shirt off their back. You know, be careful of the person who tries to work your conscience to do something that you really don't have a feel for. You're basically knee-jerk reaction, kind of like what Major League Baseball did. Because it's a lot of that is nonsense. And, you know, they found out the hard way. I'm glad listen, there's a lot of people that do things for the wrong intentions. And I tell my friends, listen, man, a lot of crooked stuff happens in this country. You work hard, you keep your head up, and you'll see things correct themselves. It may take a minute. But you'll see it correct itself. And that's what happened here, you know. So kudos to MLB giving the Braves and they've had it there before. They had it in 2000 is what it said. They had it there. But yeah, if I own a team, man, I'm saying, nah, man, nothing personal. You want to call us? Thank you, President, Miss President. Appreciate it. Click. We're not coming up there. We're not doing the whole ceremony thing. This is about you. This ain't about us. This is about your photo op. This ain't about ours. So, anyways, I'll be back on tomorrow. Now, we've got some big games. Like I said, I've talked about one already. There's some more big games here coming up this week. Obviously, the biggest one is going to be, you know, I talked Minnesota, Denver is going to be a huge one because they're both in playoff hunts. I mean, Eagles, Chiefs, plus Oregon State and Washington. Man, that's massive. That's a college game, but man, that's huge. It's probably the biggest one of the week, Carlos. I'll send you that one too. So, anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Same time, same place here tomorrow. Carlos Madden, New Yorker Chavez here on Sports.